What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Run Pier Sports NBA Hardwood Show, joined by DC, and Hoop is back from Mexico with the family. So excited to have Hoop back. Talk some hoops. We got 5-game slate. I'm excited. Very fun one tonight. The Milwaukee Bucks and the Nets. So excited to talk about that. Break that one down. Getting to the end of that NBA regular season, we're talking about a little pre-show. The playoffs are coming up soon. There's always money to be made, though. These slates, not everyone loves them. They are a little tricky. Today, at least, we kind of like we've had in the past. We have 5 games, 4 of them lock between 7 and 8 p.m. Eastern, and then we have one standalone game again. That's been the theme, it seems, recently. But excited to dive in, talk about it. Not as much injury news as we've had in the past, but hey, it's late March DFS. Anything can pop up at any time. Going to throw it over to you, Hoop. How was your vacation? I saw you were hanging out with Michael Jackson. He was putting on a performance for you. How was the trip? How'd the kids like it?
Yeah, like I said in the tweet, if you didn't see it, seeing Michael Jackson live, it just hits differently, man. It's a sight to see. So that was fun. Got to see Michael Jackson second row too. I was right there in on the action. It was awesome. But no, it was a good trip. I for some reason kept my NBA notifications on my phone throughout the trip, and I was thinking, man, I feel bad for the guys back covering this stuff, because it was just going nonstop. One of the days, we're at the pool having drinks and tried to get in a little like midday snoozer in there, and man, those booze, those notifications kept coming through. And it seemed like there's a lot of action in the NBA streets. That's what you're going to get this time of year. Last week we were kind of joking about it before. DC is our lead MLB analyst, obviously, here at Run Pure Sports. So he has one more week of having to look at this NBA stuff, and then his mind can erase it all and wait till October when it starts back up. Me and Title will probably be a mixture of both, some MLB, some NBA. But it's exciting time, obviously, for DFS with MLB starting, the NBA playoffs, and the Masters next week. So it's a lot of fun stuff coming up for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you get that and add in the UFC card pay-per-view. It wouldn't be one of the better ones I've seen today. Chimaev's back. You got Volk. You got Peter Yan. I mean, that card's going to be nuts. So Masters, opening day, MMA card. There's always NASCAR. We always talk about all the sports, one price. Head over Run Pure Sports. Check it out if you haven't. But DC, I got to go to you. Before you talk any baseball or anything, please tell me when you're on vacation, you at least turn off your notifications from NBA, because I know that's one of the first things I do, and it feels really good when my phone's not lighting up every 2 seconds.
It's funny you asked that, because I had kind of a similar question for Hoop. Obviously, you're not playing NBA DFS in Mexico. For one, you can't, and for two, you probably wouldn't want to. But did you leave the notifications on because you were just like too lazy to turn them off? Or was it that you wanted to like revel in the gloriousness of your life, not following the notifications? Maybe a little bit of both. I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't realize it until it must have been like day 2 or 3 on the trip when I tried taking that nap. Hammered a ton of beers, a ton of mixed drinks, at the pool, and it was like maybe 3-4 p.m. Yeah. So it would have been like 5-6 p.m. Eastern. I was like, that's when I really noticed it, and then after that, I was just too lazy to turn it off. Yeah. So yeah, that's the answer to the question.
might be something like that, because I could see something happening like that to myself, where it's like, it's bothering me right now, but now they stopped, and so then I don't have to worry about it for another until tomorrow, and then you just we're not as technically savvy as Title. You see switching things off all the time. Once you get your settings, you don't want to change them around too much.
Correct. Yeah, I come from the guy that can't have YouTube up with Zoom. So
exactly.
That makes sense. I got the baseball ones, so I mean those keep popping up. Who's starting on opening day? I just saw like Robbie Ray starting, so they're always popping up. So
I don't even have those on. I need to turn those on myself.
Yeah, I would recommend. Underdog does a great job. Underdog, Robbie Ray opening day, stuff like that. So when that goes with NBA, it can get annoying. So that's the thing. When I was at Big T's, those NBA notifications were off, and it felt pretty nice not looking down at that. But hey, that's what we do. DC though, any initial thoughts? We're talking baseball in a week, opening day. You had a big draft yesterday. I saw on your Twitter. I would not have known about it. I know the event. I know the main event's always the biggest, but not too familiar with it. It sounded like you were pretty happy with it. Just talk any bit of baseball you got for the people.
Yeah, I was really happy with it. It's a big national contest. So you play in like 15 team leagues, season long. And then all the leagues compete with each other for like I think it's a $200,000 grand prize, something like that. Yeah, went pretty rookie hitter heavy. I think the rookie hitters are going to be studs this year. Guys like Bobby Witt, Julio Rodriguez, very high. And I will say this, just DFS wise, I've had a lot of success over the years, especially in the first couple months of the season, April and May, just because out of the gate, like player skills change quickly in baseball. And I think, my biggest strength as an analyst is being able to identify when those changes are real early on, right? So by the time you get into July, September, I think people kind of know like what these players are. But early on, you can identify some of the younger players or just players that have clearly made a big change, pitchers in particular, in their first start, and be like, this guy looks like a new guy this year. He could be a stud for us going forward. So really looking forward to that. We'll be ready to go for sure. Opening day, I can't wait. I'm sure I'll be on shows, 6-7 days a week talking baseball. Can't wait for it. So we'll be ready. And if you're not a member, join up. We got obviously my baseball stuff, everyone else's baseball stuff, but we just added NASCAR, NBA, of course, the playoffs, PGA Masters is going to be awesome. So the sports world keeps turning, and we'll be ready for it.
Yeah, I'm very excited for that. You'll be in the MLB streets for sure. Hoop and I will be. NBA playoffs is always one of my favorite times. MLB around the corner, we're always in there. So excited to talk both. But yeah, we need people like DC, who's already been hammering drafts for months, looking at these other hitters, because Hoop and I, we aren't looking at that stuff right now. I can tell you that.
Opening day is my day to be like, oh my gosh, this guy is on this roster. When did that happen?
Yeah, I'm a little ahead because those notifications do pop up once in a while, so I see them. But that's pretty much where I'm at.
But I mean, the thing with baseball, I mean, it's different than like a trade in the NBA. Like if the guy's, in a lineup batting in whatever spot, I mean, not much changes. Obviously, stadiums and all that, we already have all that knowledge. So it's just a matter of, what team they end up on, their role. And it's much different than like NBA offseason.
Yeah, except Camden Yards, Hoop. I don't know if you've heard about that one yet, but Camden Yards is no longer the hitter's park that we like after what they did to left field. So that's
what they moved it back.
Yes.
Yeah, it's dumb.
Now it's down to pretty much Coors Field. We lost Texas a couple of years ago, lost Camden. Now I'm down to pretty much Coors Field. It's hurtful.
Yeah, I guess the Red Stadium. That's always a good one
when it's warm in the certain few months we have. Yeah.
Yeah.
DC, you were looking to say something, DC.
Yeah, Coors Field's not going anywhere, so you'll be good from.
Yeah, only the few times. What about when they're on the road or don't play? Then what does Title do? Find a new person for the show.
Take a day off. Take a title nap on Big T Stacks.
All right, that's what I'll do for sure. But I can't wait. In a week, we're going to be starting that off. We appreciate everyone hanging out. We got Shady Goat, Mr. Patrick Rice, Jordan, Joe, Mike. Thanks for hanging out with us. Hit that like button. Hit that big red subscribe button for us in the bottom right. We appreciate that as well. If you're not a member, we just talked about all the sports. We even League of Legends, F1. I mean, all the sports we have if DraftKings runs it. Head over to Run Pure Sports. Check it out. Make sure you get in the Discord too. But we got 5 games on the slate. Like I said, 4 of them lock 8 p.m. Eastern or before. And then we have the Lakers and Utah as the lone 10 o'clock game. I really wish they got the Lakers off national TV. We've had to watch this team so many times. They're so brutal to watch, but they're back as big dogs in the late game. So that'll be interesting when we break that down. But I say we start with the first game. So only game that locks at 7 p.m. Eastern is this one. The Philadelphia 76ers, the Detroit Pistons, 225.5 total. Philly is favored by 9.5. Going to the Detroit injury report, Jeremy Grant's still out. Diallo, Chris Smith, Corey Joseph, they are all out. And then as far as the Philly side, I'm not seeing anybody on Philly that is ruled out. So they're finally healthy. They're fully healthy. And at this point of year, usually when teams are fully healthy, we don't have too much interest in them. Hoop, I'll head over to you first. Your Detroit Pistons, as Mangone likes to say, I think they're the more interesting side since they're down a few more bodies. Nothing standing out too much, though, in this game. Talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, out of the 5 games, I'd say this is definitely the least appealing of the 5. I mean, you look at the 76ers side, and it's hard to play anyone on this team outside of Embiid and Harden, and this isn't necessarily like the greatest spot here. The studs in that next game that we're going to talk about, the Bucks and the Nets, way more appealing than Embiid or Harden, in my opinion. Tobias Harris obviously has taken this massive hit with Harden coming over. Has popped up for some bigger games at a 53 fantasy point game, it looks like last time out. But it's just a tough team to get to with Embiid and Harden. And it's not like they're going against a powerhouse team. They're going against this Pistons team where they could easily, run right over them, although the Pistons have been playing pretty hard here to end the season, which is honestly impressive. But from a DFS perspective, center is actually pretty loaded tonight. There are a lot of guys in a lot of different pricing tiers. So I don't see myself going to Embiid. I would probably play him on FanDuel over DraftKings. And then Harden, I just don't see myself getting to tonight. 10-2 on DK. I don't know. Like I said, I like the studs better in this next game. And then the Pistons, again, a tough team. Obviously, they do have some injuries here, some guys that are going to be out, but still have quite a few bodies. And a team that's it's been hard to trust anyone outside of Cade Cunningham. He's now 8.7K. So, I mean, you need the big boy performance from him. You need 45. You need, 50 fantasy points if you're going to play Cade. And I don't think I want to play him tonight against the 76ers. So, I mean, really, this game out of all the five is definitely the least appealing from a fantasy perspective. Really struggling to find pieces that I have interest in. Kelly Olynyk at 3.5, maybe, but he's probably only going to play 18, 19 minutes. He's got to get there in that short period of time. And there are some other cheap guys on the slate I think we can go to. So yeah, overall, just not a very exciting fantasy game.
Yeah, so you can, and it looks like in your eyes, lock was pretty much at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, which I think makes some sense too. Josh reminded me in chat, I misspoke. Corey Joseph is questionable. He's not out. And while that doesn't feel like the biggest news, Killian Hayes, like if Corey Joseph is out, Killian Hayes should start at point guard. He'd be a lot better play. And if Corey Joseph is in, he might start. So Josh, thanks for correcting me. That is decent news. It's him questionable. Yeah, like Kelly Olynyk, he only played 16 minutes, 25 DK points. Just the minutes aren't there, which is the concerning thing. He's a good fantasy point per minute producer. I'm going to head over to you, DC. Talk about Embiid because they want to win. It looks like he's going to be low owned. If this game stays close, you'd expect them to crush, but then you're not playing KD. You're not playing Giannis and stuff like that. So how does Embiid rank amongst the studs? And talk about Detroit.
I think he's a good option. I mean, the matchup couldn't get much better for Embiid, obviously, against a pretty soft interior from Detroit. He's talking about wanting to win the MVP. The minutes have been reflective of that. In 4 of the last 5 games, he's played 34 plus minutes, including 39 and 38 in the last 2. That's always been a kind of concern for Embiid, right? That even when he plays well, you only get like the 32, 33 minutes. It's not the case right now. So I do think he's interesting. He also doesn't necessarily need full minutes to put up 60 plus. We've seen it plenty of times where he does, in a blowout situation, play 30 minutes, but because, the Sixers are blowing him out, usually he's got like 16 boards, in those types of games already. So maybe he doesn't need that fourth quarter run. So I do like Embiid. He would be my choice from the Sixers. I think Harden's fine at 10-2. I don't know about playing them together. It just seems like if they're both having good games, it seems like the game would be out of control at that point. So maybe just go Embiid as a lone guy, a lone stud from this game from Philly. I think that's fine. Detroit, if you want to take a low-owned Cade Cunningham, I get it. And if Joseph is out, I do think Killian Hayes is a pretty good value play. But overall, with Hoop, I think probably the best move on this slate is to just cross this game off and treat it as a 4-game slate.
Yeah, it's one of the worst games on the slate. I think we all agree on that. But I think like an Embiid, it makes sense to me. You want to target teams that are playing to win. He's going to be low owned. And someone just dropped in chat. Let me get the name. Uzi said the Pistons are 9-0 against the spread in their last 9 games against teams with winning records. I think Uzi watches the Bet Show a good amount too. I don't know if they've talked about that, but if this game stays close the whole time, Embiid gets 35 plus minutes, I would take him at the ownership discount from the Giannis and KD without right away in a heartbeat without even knowing anything else. So I think it's interesting. If Corey Joseph's out, you can play a Piston or 2. But yeah, the more pieces you have in this game, the more contrarian you'll get because the next couple games we're going to talk about are better on paper. So that game, Philadelphia 76ers, Detroit Pistons, the only game that lock at 7. Hit the like button for us, please. Hit the subscribe button. We appreciate it for sure. Getting into the next game, though, the big one of the night, the Milwaukee Bucks, the Brooklyn Nets, 243.5 total. That's a big boy. Brooklyn is favored by 2. Going to the injury report, Simmons, he's still out. Who knows about him? Joe Harris is also still out. Going to the Milwaukee side, Bembry's going to be out for the year. So that's about it. 2 healthy teams, really high total. It's going to be a playoff atmosphere. It feels like very fun to watch. I don't get excited about too many regular season games. Obviously, I like the Bucks, but this is going to be a fun one, I think. Giannis, think he's the best spend on the slate. KD's right there at 11.42. Kyrie 10.7. The ownership seems is how I just ranked them. Giannis will be the most popular. KD the second most. And I don't see people really playing Kyrie. And we know what ceiling Kyrie has. So 10.7, I'm interested about your take on that, DC. Then talk about like Brook Lopez, Middleton, Drew, Seth Curry, Drummond, the secondary pieces on each of these teams. I think this is a game you could stack up.
Yeah, for sure. First of all, it's going to get really confusing in the East when it comes down to motivation with the playoff seeding, right?
So hard.
And I don't think we need to worry about that yet, but I'm starting to think a little bit about it, right? Like we just was looking at this as like, because nobody wants to play Brooklyn, who's going to probably, they could play in the play-in game, and then you're looking at the brackets, and then the Bucks and the Heat are basically tied at the top. But of course, all the play-in teams would prefer to play Miami over the Bucks, right? And so you could get some really weird scenarios in the last few days of the season where teams that look like they should be motivated to win, they're in the playoff hunt, actually want to lose, and it could get weird. But
it's going to get weird. But I think we're a couple days out still, just because it's so jumbled up. But everything you said, I agree with. Like, no one wants.
Take a couple minutes just to keep that in mind, and it's going to get confusing. And I'll be glad. Maybe I'll be on to baseball when you guys got to figure that out. But in terms of this game, I do agree with you. Giannis looks like the premier play. I would take him. It's hard not to rank him a decent bit above KD, right? Both in terms of floor and ceiling, in my opinion. I do think the Bucks are still the better team, but this should be obviously a close, high-scoring game, most likely. And you understand why people are lower on Kyrie, right? Like the Bucks defend the rim super well, where he does a lot of his damage. He's going to have tough individual matchups all day long with Drew Holiday. But, in the NBA, offense is king, and a player of Kyrie's caliber can go off against anybody. So if you want to take the ownership discount, I get it. I do prefer to spend up for Giannis if going for a single stud in this game. And man, it's hard to get, it's hard to pay those prices for Holiday and Middleton. And then you go further than that with all 3 studs in. And I don't know, Tyler, you're the Bucks guy, like a Brook Lopez, perhaps played 29 minutes last game. He's 3,900. I think he's interesting, but I don't want to go too far down the Milwaukee list when all 3 studs are in. There's just not very much usage left after those 3 guys kind of do their thing.
Yeah, to be honest, I'm higher on the Bucks than I usually am in a game like this, because the minutes like Drew played 40, Middleton 39. Like the minutes are Brook Lopez 29, which was by far the most he's played. It really looks like Bud's finding the rotations that he wants to get into the playoffs. And this game, you're not playing the standings yet, but Brooklyn's obviously one of the best teams, or you're most concerned with. The Bucks are there. I think this is a statement game for both teams and getting momentum into the playoffs. Yeah. Like Kyrie, no one's going to play Kyrie. You look at he grades out bad point per dollar. Kyrie for 40 minutes on national television in a really good game. Like, I just think it makes a lot of sense to it at 5%, 10%. Drummond right there at 6K. I think he makes a lot of sense. I like K-Mid at 7-8. I think this game, I like more Bucks than I do Nets. The only Nets I would touch is Drummond and then the 2 studs. I wouldn't play KD or Kyrie together. But for the Bucks, I think you can fade a chalky Giannis too. Maybe go Middleton, Drew, Brook, or something like that, and that's completely different. So, Hoop, I'm interested in your take. We know the minutes are going to be there on both sides. It's the highest total, 2 very good teams. I think this is a good game, but that's not a hot take. How do you get different with it? How are you approaching it?
Yeah, I think this is probably like the last, full go for definitely for the Bucks here. They're going to be more cautious, I think, for the next week, which is unfortunate because I'm taking the kids to the Pistons Bucks game next Friday, and got my fingers crossed that Giannis suits up for that one. I think that's probably like their second to last game of the season.
You might get the other Antetokounmpo and Thanasis.
Yeah. I'll just tell the kids that there's Giannis.
Why does he suck so bad, Dad?
Yeah, so fingers crossed for that one. But yeah, I mean, I agree with you guys. I mean, 243 total, Brooklyn favored by 2. I mean, we want some exposure here. Giannis, I think, is the clear top spend on the slate. After him on the Bucks side, I actually like Brook Lopez quite a bit. I mean, the 29 minutes last time out, 28 minutes 2 games ago. Shot 9 threes last game. You know, he's always going to jack up the threes, which are nice for DraftKings. So I think Brook is probably my second favorite Bucks guy, and then Chris Middleton I like as well. I mean, close game here. I think he can do some damage as well. So those are the 3 I'm looking at on the Bucks side, and then on the net side, it's Kevin Durant and probably just Andre Drummond for me. The problem I have with Kyrie Irving is the 10-7 price tag, and then the matchup with Drew Holiday. There's just not many guards. Yeah, I agree with what you guys said. Where this is an offensive league, offense over defense for sure, but like there's a couple guys where I think their defense plays a role in these games, and Drew Holiday is one of those guys. So the combination of the matchup and the price tag, the fact that he's so close to those top guys, I'd probably be off him. If he was closer to like 10K on DraftKings, I'd have a lot more interest. What's the FanDuel price tag on him? Do you know off the top of your head title?
I'm clicking it right now.
Holiday, 8,500.
Or
Kyrie.
Kyrie. Yeah, 9.6. So
9.6,
I mean, I don't mind him on FanDuel. Probably wouldn't play him on DK. So it's really clear to me, like 5 very strong plays: Giannis, Brook, Middleton, and then Durant and Andre Drummond, who finally started to see some stabilized minutes, 31 minutes, 28 minutes. If he's going to play anywhere between 27 and 31 minutes, like he's an elite option at 6K. The problem is, like we talked about, center is pretty loaded for a 5-game slate. I think there's like 6, 7 viable options here tonight. So not a must play, but I think a very strong play. Premier game of the slate here, 243 total, 2-point spread. And like I think we all kind of agree, this is probably one of the final pushes for both these teams here before the playoffs.
Yeah, and like you mentioned with Drummond, like the scary thing is with him has always been the minutes when like on this team and some other teams where you don't know where the minutes are. And it looks like both teams, they are finding out their playoff rotation. I think Drummond's going to play 30. If Brook plays 30, there's the easy matchup. Those two can go at each other. Bobby Portis too. So I think Drummond makes a lot of sense. Everything you said about Kyrie, everyone's going to do the same thing. So like it makes sense. 10-7, that's expensive when you can look at the other guys in the top. And then, yeah, Drew Holiday guarding them, all that. At the end of the day, like if you know that all that, he's 5%. Kyrie Irving, one of the best players to touch this planet. If you want to have a game theory like that, and those are just some plays you do, same with kind of Embiid. Embiid's going lower on too. I don't think he'll be as low as Kyrie, but same thought process. Just if everyone's going to play the same studs, it does make sense. I do want to go to both.
If you're doing 150 for sure, if you're doing 150 teams, I'd definitely include Kyrie. I mean, you want heavy exposure to that game. I mean, 240 total, 2-point spread. Like that's what we're looking for. We expect all the main pieces to get their full complement of run here. If you're doing 150, I'd definitely include Kyrie.
Yeah, I mean, if he makes his shots, he's going to have a good game. He's going to chuck regardless who's on him. So makes sense there. Before we get into the next one, though, I want to ask both of you. Playoffs are winding, or regular season's winding down. We have a big game in the Eastern Conference. I want your Eastern Conference and your Western Conference winners, and then who's winning the ship right now. A little pre-playoff prediction. DC, going to head over to you. Who wins the East? Who wins the West? Who wins the championship?
Yeah, you like this one, Ted. I'm sticking with the Bucks out of the East. I just think still the best team, led by, in my opinion, still the best player in Giannis, with Middleton and Drew backing him up. But man, the East is close. You could see 76ers, Nets, and the Bucks. Celtics too. I think it's a 4-team race there. Hopefully we get those are the top 4. That kind of a little semi-final bracket there. West. Man, it's hard for me not to pick the Suns, honestly. I know those are the 2 teams in first, but I just so impressed with how they played all year long. They got CP3 back. To me, they're like the most impressive team in how much they do with the talent that they have, and they've proven it last in the playoffs too. So yeah, I'll go Bucks over Suns.
Bucks over Suns. Bucks ship it again. I literally have the same prediction. Yes, it can be a little chalky.
Yeah.
I think the West is a lot more clear cut. I don't think if someone beats them, yeah, Memphis. Desmond, like they're deep, they can play physical. I think they could. But the Suns, I think, is easy. I mean, man, they're so well coached. They're so deep. They've been there. They have D-Book as the clutch. I mean, I think the Suns definitely. In the East, I said the same thing. I left off the Celtics because of the Robert Williams injury. Obviously, they still could. But I think the Nets, the Sixers, and then the Bucks. I mean, you got Harden, Embiid, you got KD, Kyrie, you got Giannis and the guys. It would just be so tough to see like a Cleveland Cavaliers or Jimmy Butler and Bam or stuff like that beat them. That's why I don't see Miami as a threat like that. But yeah, I like it. We're lockstep on that. I would love to see the rematch and the Bucks cut it down again. Hoop, I throw over to you. I need your predictions. I need you off of mute though.
Yeah, it's hard to get predictions when no one can hear you, huh? The West is terrible. Oh my! I'm just looking at these standings here for the first time in a while.
So much better. Yeah.
Gosh, I mean, how 5 years ago the West had all the best teams. Now Memphis is the second place team in the West. Oh my!
They're playing good ball though. Memphis can beat anyone.
They're playing Golden State sucks. I think Golden State's super overrated. It's got to be Phoenix. I mean, Phoenix just phenomenal
coming from
season.
The biggest Phoenix hater last year in the regular season.
It was more Chris Paul hate. Like I told you,
like,
Chris
this
Paul
team's never winning anything in the playoffs. They ain't beating it. No. Like, all right, who's from the East?
Phoenix, I mean, man, there's some bad teams in the West that are going to be in the playoffs. That's incredible. Definitely
Spurs,
Phoenix.
Spurs might be in. Yeah,
it's crazy. The East is. I'm looking forward to the Eastern Conference playoffs, but I'll veer off from you guys a little bit. I'll go to the 76ers. I'll go 76ers, Suns. Give me the 76ers to win. I think 76ers could get it done this year. So,
one thing that's going to be so fun is there's so many like big personalities in the Eastern Conference playoffs too, right? Like you roll in with freaking Kyrie and Durant, against the Bucks big three or against Embiid and Harden. It's just fun teams that are very star centric.
We're not even talking like Bulls. They got Levine, DeRozan, Vooch. Like the East is
the Raptors can battle too. I mean, there's solid teams, man. It's going to be fun. The Eastern Conference playoffs.
All the teams I think have at least a fighting chance against the other ones. You know what I mean? I maybe not down to the very bottom, but like you mentioned,
it's going to be a lot of fun for sure.
Yeah.
And I know the people like listen to this too. Hey, now we're on air before predicting what we got. Hopefully DC and I are right. I'm not cheering for hoops as much, but I would like to see a rematch, and that would be a lot of fun. But
I'll be rooting for the Timberwolves, but I don't have super high hopes.
If your team in there, when's the last time they've been in the play? It might have been sooner than I thought. I don't know.
It's been like 4 or 5 years.
4 or 5 years, yeah. But yeah, that's a fun team to root for. Cat looks like a different Cat than he has a couple years ago. I will say that. I like the energy he's playing with, that's for sure. But that's enough of that. Hit that like button for us. Hit that big red subscribe button. We got 322 watching. 200 likes is what I'll say. We got 5 games, 3 games left. 200 likes shouldn't be very hard. We appreciate it if you hit the like, hit the big red subscribe button while you're at it. Let's get into the next game, though. The 7:30 p.m. Eastern, the Cleveland Cavaliers, the Atlanta Hawks, 230 total. Atlanta is favored by 6. Going to the injury report for Cleveland, Jared Allen, Sexton, Dean Wade, Rondo, and Evan Mobley are out. Going to the Atlanta side, John Collins, Lou Will, Jalen Johnson out. But Gallo and Bogdanovic are questionable, which is the biggest news we have on the slate right now. If both those guys are out, Mangone's boy, Kevin Huerter, or Kayvon Huerter, as he likes to say, he gets a bump. I think Moses Brown at 3.2K with no Mobley in the front court. I think he's interesting. He's just center eligible though. Talking about centers pretty deep. Karis LeVert's there at 5.8K. DC, I'll go back to you in this game. Talk about Cleveland, talk about Atlanta.
Yeah, Cleveland, I mean, where most of the production is going to come from. I was pretty high on them yesterday. They were pretty good. I mean, Garland was awesome. He gets it done just pretty much every day. I like LeVert right now with this team, kind of forced into more minutes in a bigger role. He's still 5,200 on FanDuel, 5,800 on DraftKings. So LeVert, one of my favorite plays. And then I do notice it looks like a lot of sites, including our partners over at SaberSim, do have like Moses Brown projected as the highest, the best value on the slate. Started for Kevin Love, which was kind of a surprise to me. But those minutes are not at all guaranteed, right? Like Love could easily come in there and play 32 to Moses Brown's 16. So I do think that's interesting if he's going to be one of the highest owned, which I assume he's going to be up there. So maybe a decent fade there if you wanted to play. That's Kevin Love who gets the minutes. I think that makes some sense. But yeah, both teams trying to win. I talked yesterday about the Cavs defense got worse when they lost Jared Allen, and then they slide Mobley to the 5, but takes another big step back when they they lose Mobley. So now they lose the 2 really good rim protectors and Allen and Mobley both out of the lineup. We saw Dallas score 120 on them last night. Luka had a huge game. I would expect the same from Trae Young, especially on a back-to-back here. So yeah, I really do like Trae Young. I think it's, I definitely have him over Kyrie at the same price point. And then I think it's close for me between like a Trae Young. I know they're different positions and Kevin Durant, but I do expect a really, really big game out of Trae Young here. And finally, Clint Capella. His minutes has been trending upward. I know they weren't super high yesterday, but that's because of foul trouble and a blowout. I do think in a close game, which this could be, he's going to play more minutes. And the matchup I actually think is pretty good for Capella now with Allen and Mobley out. So I like this game quite a bit.
Yeah, I think everything you said makes sense. Both teams, I mean, the Hawks side can only get better if Gallo and if Gallo and Bogdanovich are out too. And
but even if those guys play, I still like Trae Young and Capella.
Yeah, exactly. I think Capella, I mean, those 2 wouldn't benefit either of those 2 as much because they're still going to get theirs and get their minutes. I think that makes it. Are you Trae over Garland? Obviously the price 800 difference, but if you're not playing both, obviously.
Yeah, I am Trae over Garland, but I do like both guys. It's close to a coin flip for me with the price difference.
Makes sense. Hoop, I'll go over to you. Talk about the Moses Brown. He played 21 minutes last game. If he starts 3.2K, he is a center position that is pretty good on this slate, though. That's why Embiid and Clint Capella in this game is also center. I think he's solid. So talk about what you're doing with Moses Brown, what you do with him in tournaments, and then Trae Young, Garland, anything else in this game?
Yeah, I mean, Moses Brown at 3.2K, as it stands now, is probably going to be one of the more popular guys just because of the price tag. 3.2K, started, played pretty decent. He's no like lock button, jam him in for sure type play. I agree with DC on that. The floor, I think, is relatively low, but as it stands now, 5-game slate, not a ton of like full on punt. So he's definitely a priority play for me at this point. Levert at 5.8K, very strong option. 38 minutes last time out, 32. He will also be popular, but strong play. And then, you have guys like Kevin Love, who I think still in the conversation. Lamar Stevens as a cheap punt as well at 3.5K. So Cleveland is a very appealing team tonight for fantasy. And then on the Hawks side, agree with you guys. Trae Young, great play. Clint Capella, great play. They become really good plays if Bogdanovich and Gallinari are ruled out, or even one of them. And if those 2 are ruled out, then that brings DeAndre Hunter into the conversation. That brings Kevin Huerter into the conversation. So I think we already have some strong plays, and Young, Capella, they would become really good plays, I think, if those guys are ruled out. And then you'd bring Huerter and Hunter into the conversation as well. And this game is, 7:30 Eastern. So I'd imagine by lock we'll have this news. But if Bogdanovich is ruled in and a full go, I think he has solid price tag on FanDuel. I think he's 6'1", on DK 6'3". He's just been a very steady producer for the Hawks all season long. So kind of have to see here, who's in and who's out. But, for sure, either way, Young and Capella, I think, are strong options. Capella finally starting to flash that upside that we saw last season. I mean, 31 minutes against Golden State, 41 fantasy points, 31 minutes against the Pacers, 45 fantasy points. We haven't seen a ton of that this season, but in the recent week or 2, he's showing that he still can get there. So strong play, I think, at that price tag. Center, like we talked about, there's probably seven very viable options tonight at center.
Yeah, I think going 2 center builds in a lot of your lineups makes a lot of sense. And yeah, Moses Brown looks to be the most chalky, but outside of that, Drummond's going to get some, Capella's going to get some, and B might get some, but man, you can mix centers away. I mean, like a Kongwu, we didn't even mention him. Obviously, on this slate, I probably won't want it as much. Hartenstein coming off a good game. But all those guys, I think, were viable. If you could play multiple, 4 centers on a slate or something, maybe people would play 3 or 4. So, yeah, center position's good. I think going 2 center build definitely makes a lot of sense. right now, 337 watching, 150 likes. Do us a favor, hit that like button, hit that big red subscribe button. While you're out at it also, if you're watching on the computer, pull out your phone, and again, go to Twitter, go to the Run Pure Sports Twitter, and hit that follow button for us. We're almost at 15,000. I know we're getting there. If you guys could give us do us a favor, hit the follow button on Twitter. We appreciate it. We're giving out some swag when we do hit 15K as well. So little extra motivation, head over to Twitter, hit the follow button. And also the members never win segment. We like shouting out some members that have big wins throughout the week. If you want to be in this segment, go to Discord, go to the members never win part, and then drop a screenshot. We got a couple good ones. D Jones MD, $2,000 in F1. New sport just came out. RDS Shipper, $2,000. Congrats to you. M Carter, 2388, $6,000 in NBA. Rookie B making cash, $10,000 in tennis. Hebrew Cheetah, $19,000 in NBA. Big T, $146,000 in PGA. Then Birdie Monster, the big $220,000 in PGA. I mean, look at all that. Tennis winner, $10,000. I was grinding tennis, sweating tennis that day. Really cool to see. He's always in Discord. $10,000, tennis. Niche sports. We have Susie. We have Matty Ice, spread on it. All these sports that people don't dive into. You check the playbook, you check the core plays, and you print some winners. So congrats to all of you guys. Good luck, or congrats. Good luck in the future. Hit the screenshots in the members never win chat. You guys can be on a segment for this.
I love our friends at some of these other sites, but I mean, what a grimy move to F1 to come out, just random, DFS sport to pop up, and you're going to charge your customers more money for F1 projections and F1 content. Like, we got someone covering it and it's included in our package. Like, I can't imagine telling all our paying members, like, hey, F1 starting up. If you want the F1 content, you got to pay whatever the hell it is, $20 extra a month. That's just such a grimy sleazeball move. Don't have to worry about that shit over here. We would never do that to you.
Yeah. Coop, you brought it down good. I don't talk about that stuff as much. Just common sense. I mean, on one price, all the sports, we're in there. Anything tennis, MMA, NBA, Euro League. Kurt's doing Euro League. We got March Madness, the Final Four this Friday or this Saturday. I know I didn't even bring that up, Sue. So much going on. Masters next week. So much going on. So many big prize pools. All the sports, one price. Head over to Run Pure Sports and check it out. We got 2 games left. We talked about the Bucks game that we thought was pretty good. The Hawks game that we thought was pretty good. So I'm not sure how much time the next 2 games will take on. So make sure you hit that like button. 163 likes. We need 200 for the plays of the day. I know you guys are going to get us there. But next game on the slate, 8 p.m. Eastern, the Los Angeles Clippers, Chicago Bulls, 221.5 total. Chicago is favored by 2.5. Going to the injury report for the Clippers, Kawhi, Norman Powell, Brandon Boston, JSURab, and then this Preston dude, they are all out. Brandon Boston's the only one that's kind of new. As far as the questionable tags, Marcus Morris and Batum are questionable. They're already on a minutes limit. I think Batum's is like 19, Morris is 24 or something. So that's not too big of news on this slate. I just haven't really been dealing with the Clippers because of all the unknowns with Ty Lue. They have nothing to play for. They're locked in where they have to be. I'm not messing with them. I think Hartenstein's the only one you need to, or you could if you wanted to, but center's really good. As far as the Bulls, all their guys are back. Their prices are okay. So I'm excited to hear what your thoughts are on the Chicago Bulls, because their prices have been a lot more expensive. Like DeMar, 8-4. He was 10K at one point. Vooch has been over 9K. The prices have come down, but they are healthy. So what are you doing with them?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of been our stance for the majority of the season. Like when all 3 are in, we're really not playing them, or at least they're not going to be like priority type plays. I think this is maybe a little bit different because the price tags have finally fallen a little bit. And, the one I think that's most appealing would be DeRozan at 8-4. If you're doing 150 teams, I'd be fine keeping all of them in my player pool, but making sure you're not playing, multiples in the same lineup. Levine's shown a really, low floor lately, 32, 37, and 20 fantasy points. That's, somewhat worrisome. So I guess he would probably be my least favorite. I'd rank DeRozan, Vooch, Levine. I feel pretty confident saying that like one of these guys has a really big game tonight. Other 2, it's just hard for all 3 of those guys to have big games. I don't mind Ayo a little bit at 4-1. Caruso, not all that interested. On the Clipper side, I agree with you. Like, I'm not really going to be playing many Clippers. I will say I'm not doing 150 teams tonight, but if I was, I would include Paul George in my player pool. We've seen this from Paul George in the past, where he comes back from lengthy period of injury and just kind of crushes. And that's, what he did in his first game, 58 fantasy points. He had a 38 usage. I mean, you look at the rest of this roster, like if there's a competitive game here with the Bulls and he somehow plays 32, 33 minutes, he can easily go for 60. Like, he's going to be out there chucking the ball. The ball's going to be in his hands. And then if those guys are ruled out as well, it's just an additional boost for him. So, not a core play, not a, building block play, but for 150 lineups, I'm assuming he'll be pretty low owned. I would have some Paul George in my player pool tonight, but that's probably it. I mean, I guess if Morris and who else was questioning? If Morris and Batum, if both those guys are ruled out, then yeah, brings in dudes like Hartenstein, Mann, Kennard. This is 8 p.m. Eastern. Probably will have the news. So yeah, if both those guys are ruled out, maybe we circle back and look at some of these secondary Clippers guys. As it stands now, Paul George is probably the only Clipper that I'd have in my pool tonight.
Yeah, to be honest, I didn't even look at him. What a find. I didn't know he played 30 minutes in his first game back. I just expected that.
And he's done this in the past, though, too, where he comes back and he just starts crushing right away.
Oh, I mean, PG is too smooth. Anytime he's on the court, if he gets the minutes, he's going to get his. But yeah, 38% usage, 9.4K. I mean, I'm seeing 1%, and I think he's going to probably be 1% owned. So if you get 6% or something in 150, yeah, I mean, I did not know he played 30 minutes back. So I'll go to you, DC. 1% Paul George. Talk about that. Talk about anybody else on the Clippers or any run backs on the Bulls.
He was the one guy I wanted to bring up. So glad who brought him up. Misses 3 months, comes back, plays 31 minutes, leads his team to a victory over the Jazz.
That is impressive, man. He shot the ball really well, too.
Yeah. So, I mean, you only need to see it once, right? Where you're like, all right, he's just back to Paul George. If you put up 58 fantasy points in a game, then you're good to go in my book. This is like Goop, you said it. The West has some crappy playoff teams. Clippers are kind of one of them, but they are currently in 8th in the playoff race, and they just got a star player back. So. Someone
in chat was saying maybe Kawhi come back. They already fired plus 4,000 to win the West. I haven't
heard anything about that, but if there's a chance he could, then sure. But I mean, like, imagine you're the Clippers coaching staff, and now you got healthy Paul George back. You're tired of watching Reggie Jackson and these dudes, Nick Batum. Like, all right, Paul George, you take over now, and like he can see it. His teammates can see it. So I think the ceiling for him is really, really high. And at super low ownership, and especially on where it's just a 5-game slate. Listen, maybe Milwaukee and Brooklyn, it turns into a blowout one way or the other. You never know. And those studs all go down in one game. The same thing could happen with Embiid and Harden. They could just both be out in the third quarter and don't get there. And maybe it's Paul George that kind of emerges as the top stud play on the night. It's easy to tell yourself that story. At least it is to me. So at a super low ownership, he's going to get massive usage. I think the minutes can only go up from that 31 that he played. I think he's a really fun GPP play. I wish you could play him at a forward position on DraftKings. Frankly, a little bit ridiculous that he's only shooting guard eligible, but is what it is. We'll just make him that much lower owned. So I like Paul George a lot tonight.
Anybody on the Bulls? They're healthy. The prices are down a little, but what do you think?
It makes sense to choose one of those guys as a run back if you're playing Paul George. I think DeRozan would probably be my top choice at 8,400. I assume he'll be contrarian too. Just I don't think that many people are going to look to the Bulls. But yeah, you could see dual 50 burgers from DeRozan and George at low ownership. Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, that would be my favorite run back too. Vooch is just center eligible. We keep talking about that position. Yeah. Levine's, he's guard, small forward eligibility. He's just so scoring dependent. Like Hoop said, that floor can really bury you at 8K. So I think DeRozan would be mine too. And if I'm playing PG, I am going to play a DeMar DeRozan because there's no way if either side is a blowout in this one that PG is going to get that late. I mean, unless he's just 30 minutes, regardless, that's what they're going to give him. But I would personally run it back, and DeMar would be the guy. And I think Io is interesting too. 4.1K, not a standout play. If you land him on his last piece, the minutes are there. but I don't love the ceiling with all of them healthy. So
Yeah.
that's our thoughts on that one. Good call. Good bring up on the Paul George. It'd be both of you guys. I did not know he played 30 minutes. That is, after a long time, I did not expect that. But 58 DK points, 1% today. I think that I would sign up for that if you told me. That's for sure. Let's see what the likes. 379 watching, 184 likes, 16 more likes for the plays of the day. One game left. It might take a little bit, but hit the like button, hit the subscribe button for us. We appreciate it for sure. Next game, the last one on the slate, 10 p.m. Eastern, 2 hours after that Bulls game. Los Angeles Lakers, Utah Jazz, 227 total. Utah is favored by 13.5. On the Lakers side, LeBron and AD are out. Kendrick Nunn out. Wenyen Gabriel is playing, and it was announced that he is starting too 17 minutes ago. So glad we got that news, because last time it was Dwight Howard that started. He only played 5 minutes. And yeah, I don't know if Howard's going to start. They're going to have to match up with Gobert, but it's good to know Gabriel's at least going to start. We have that piece of news a little bit. Going to the Utah side, Whiteside, Trent Forrest, Azubuike out, Bogdanovic, Bojan Bogdanovic, that is, and Daniel House are probable. With Gabriel starting, I think he's interesting. Stanley Johnson coming off a good game, 3.8K. Malik Monk's there. There's Westbrook. Obviously, without AD and LeBron, you got to have some interest on the Lakers. And then you look at anyone that's playing the Lakers. I always love picking on them. They're absolutely awful. Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert. Hoop, I'll go to you. I mean, this is another one I think I can stack up. I just don't know the Lakers can keep it within 20 for more than a half.
Yeah. Before that, I'm just digging into that Kawhi Leonard thing, and they said, I guess there's some optimism that he might return. So I actually don't hate that bet. Whoever posted that 40 to 1 in the West. I mean,
plus 4,000. Chris Lawrence. He was, he's been talking about it a couple of times. So there you go.
Yeah, I don't hate that. I mean, West is weak. If someone, somehow takes out the Suns, like
if Kawhi came back, Kawhi and Paul George, I mean,
they could be. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's an interesting play. Yeah, this game. I mean, the Lakers situation just absolute embarrassment, and of course, LeBron's gonna hide in shame here the last week of the regular season. I mean,
I will say, you were on vacation. He rolled his ankle, and it was definitely bad. And he's
who doesn't want to hear it? Who doesn't want to hear it?
Come on, come on. Yeah, DC said I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear that.
He definitely rolled his ankle. He's trying to come back tomorrow. I'll back LeBron up for that one. But yes, they are a disaster.
Yeah, just absolute disaster, complete embarrassment. But it's a good DFS situation here, obviously, with no Anthony Davis, LeBron James. You got Stanley Johnson, who played 35 minutes last game. Malik Monk played 33 minutes, and he's been playing really well. So, I mean, those are the two guys I have the most interest in. Gabriel, like you said, I mean, they're not going to play Dwight Howard a ton here. There's no way. Gabriel should get solid run. And you said they just announced that he's starting, right?
Correct. Gabriel. Yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, should probably play at least mid-20s, you'd assume, in this game, 4.1K. I mean, the matchup obviously sucks against Gobert, but, he's going to be given an opportunity here. So I think he's interesting. Carmelo's cheap on FanDuel. He's like 4.1K. You can go a lot of guys. I think the safest, probably Monk and Stanley Johnson. And then, what do you do with Russell Westbrook? I don't know. I really don't want to play Russell Westbrook here. Probably won't, but I could see if you wanted to. And then on the Jazz side, they're gonna be able to get whatever the hell they want. I mean, the Lakers are gonna put up zero resistance. Has Hassan Whiteside out, so I think Gobert gets a little boost here. Relatively cheap on both sides. I typically don't play a lot of Gobert, but I think he's safe to probably put up like 40 fantasy points tonight. Bogdanovic was questionable. He's in, right? He's in.
I see probable.
Okay, yeah. So he'll likely play, but Royce O'Neal, I think, is a guy we can look to as a value at 4.1K. Playing a lot of minutes, can easily get there. I think against Lakers, Donovan Mitchell, Mike Conley, Jordan Clarkson. I think you can play all these Jazz guys. I think they're enough to go around where 4 or 5 Jazz guys can have big enough performances to pay off their price tags here. So really good spot for the Jazz. Just a matter if if the Lakers can keep it within 20 actual points. Like, is it going to be a massive blowout where the Jazz are up by 30? These guys, miss out on full fourth quarter. Or is it going to be, the 20-point blowout where they still kind of play a little in the fourth? Regardless, so like I said, I think a lot of guys can get there for the Jazz, and then the Lakers, very appealing because those stars are out. So 227 total, Jazz favored by 14. It's a game that we do have to look at. 5-game slate. So yeah, definitely some plays here.
For sure. C-Wiz in chat said, isn't AD playing? No, he's supposed to play tomorrow. It looks like he's out today. So yeah, those notifications you get for tomorrow can be annoying a little bit, but AD, LeBron are out today. DC, I'll go to you. In tournaments, I will refuse to ever click the Russell Westbrook name. I have said that for a month or something now. He's going to get some ownership today in cash games. I think it can make sense. I don't think he's a lock in tournaments. It's always a no for me. So what about you for that? Then talk about the rest of this game.
Yeah, anytime. We're all on the same page with Russell Westbrook. That's just we just prefer to fade the man at this point, and you can certainly do it. Plenty of good guards on the slate. I'll be doing that myself. The Jazz have been kind of struggling too recently, blowing a lot of leads, but I expect them to win this game rather handily.
If there's ever a great get right spot, this is it.
Yeah, exactly. I will say right now, looking at the standings, the Wolves would play the Lakers in the first playoff game, 7 versus 10. As a long-suffering Wolves fan, I would enjoy the Wolves knocking out LeBron and company in a single game eliminator. So I'll be rooting for that. Bring on the Lakers. Probably won't end well for Minnesota, but anyway, it'd be fun to see. DFS wise today, again, obviously you can play Westbrook if you want to. Malik Monk, I think I prefer him over Westbrook at 5,500. He's going to have a big role in usage. It does seem like the Lakers are kind of going away from some of their vets. Carmelo Anthony, Dwight Howard not playing as many minutes. It's confusing, right? And then obviously you've got LeBron. It does seem, I think he would be playing in these games if he was healthy, but he would also seems like he would be playing if it was a playoff game, right? And it sort of is. I mean, they're fighting for a spot right now. So I don't know. The Lakers confuse me. They kind of have all season, and I avoid them when possible. That's just the truth with my approach with the Lakers.
I really don't think they want to get in. I think they're afraid. Seriously, if they got in and lost in the play-in, that would be super embarrassing for some of these guys. I seriously don't think they want to get in.
Yeah.
I could be wrong. It's already embarrassing. I mean,
yeah, I'm just saying, I don't know. I just don't trust this team at all in terms of minutes and where it's going to go from any given night and their individual players. I don't really like Malik Monk as a player all that much.
Imagine saying all this about a team and they're on national TV twice every so much more than any other team. It's hurtful.
And Utah would be more interesting if Bogdanovich was out again. They were starting Hernan Gomez. You'd kind of been an interesting punt play, but probably off the board now. Bogdanovich also hurts Mitchell and Conley. So those guys are still good plays, but there's no one really you can pin down from the Jazz. It's this is the guy that you want to play tonight. Kind of got to mix and match those guys a little bit, right?
Yeah, for sure.
West Coast Gem, he's on to title. He said, interesting. Title has to back LeBron with the ankle roll. Same injury that took him out of the matchup versus Big T. Very good point from West Coast Gem. Comes into back LeBron for that reason.
I mean, man, that ankle looked it was sideways. I know the feeling. So yeah, I felt the pain when I saw LeBron. West Coast knows. He's in the bets chat. He's in this chat. Ankles are no. Hey, Big T.
It looked worse than Title's ankle. Title's ankle didn't look noticeably bad to me.
Big T. Yeah, that was also over 2 weeks. Big T's ankle's now messed up, so I don't know when we're gonna get to a game. So yeah, that's West Coast. You are right though. The ankle injuries, no fun. LeBron, he's not milking it. I had to put these two in their place on that one. All right, that was all 5 games. Beanair is saying it's not 7-10 DC, it's 7-8 loser plays winner of 9 versus 10. I guess that's how it goes. Thanks, Beanair. I did not know that either. All right. That was all 5 games. You guys did hit the likes, 206 likes. We appreciate it. If you haven't hit already, hit it for us. We do appreciate it. Hit that big red subscribe while you're at it too. And then Underdog's running a promo code. If you haven't deposited over on Underdog yet, it's a really cool. They do best ball format, season long fantasy. They have MLB one up right now. Not sure when that's ending or what the overlay is looking like, but I would check it out. And then they also have NFL best ball. I love doing those. I haven't got into any yet, but they have a new super flex, 2 quarterback one, which is very interesting. They run good sites, good price or good prize pools over there. Make sure you head over to Underdog. If you haven't used the promo code yet, use the promo code RUNPEER. They'll match up to $100 of your initial deposit. So head over to Underdog, check that out. Then head over to Run Peer Sports. We talked about all of the sports, all the stuff we have going. I'm not going to preach it again. Head over to Run Peer Sports if you want. Get in the Discord. That's my favorite part of it. And join the movement. It's a lot of fun. Great community we have, coordinators, members, etc. That's enough of that, though. It's time for the plays of the day. I'm going to go to Hoop first. The rich parents play of the day. You're welcoming back from Mexico. Give the people a winner.
Yeah, we're gonna. I feel good about this play. I mean, I think we were all kind of on board with it when we talked about it. It's going to be Paul George. I mean, hello. I'm glad title came to me first. I'm glad title came to me first.
I went to DC last time, and he took Mangone, so I had
to. Single digits ownership. I mean, coming off 57 fantasy point game, the chance for his prospects to improve tonight if those guys are ruled out, Batum and Morris. Is there a chance he plays like 33, 34, 35 minutes? I think there is tonight. And I think he could break this slate potentially. So Paul George is going to be the rich parents play of the day. And I do agree with, pairing him with probably DeRozan or maybe Vooch, whichever one you like more. I like pairing, those guys together. And, you're kind of hoping that Bucks next game gets out of hand and you'd be sitting pretty. So give me Paul George, rich parents play of the day.
I like it. DC, I'll head over to you so I don't possibly take yours. The mom's basement play of the day. Who do you got?
Oh, you wouldn't want to get doubles tonight. I'll go to Atlanta. I'll go Clint Capella, who I think is going to play some more minutes down the stretch. It seems like it took him a little bit of time maybe to get back in shape after he was on the shelf for a while. But it looks like John Collins, I think, is questionable, but hopefully he sits. Either way, I think the matchup on paper doesn't look good for Capella, but with Jared Allen and Mobley out, I actually really like the matchup for him, either against Moses Brown or Kevin Love or Mark and then down low, whoever it is. I think Capella is going to have the advantage. So Clint Capella, the mom's basement play of the day.
Collins is out too. It's just Gallo that mainly you'd have to worry about.
Yeah.
For, but I like that. Clint Capella as the mom's basement play of the day. I'll go to myself to cap it off with the SO play of the day. It has to be a Utah Jazz because the Lakers just absolutely suck. I just keep picking on them every single time. And Rudy Gobert at 7.7K. The center position is loaded, but who's going to be able to stop Rudy? I mean, they don't want to play Dwight Howard. Dwight Howard ain't going to do nothing. Wendy Gabriel, he's not stopping Rudy Gobert. This game somehow stays close. I could see 2020 absolutely go off. So Rudy Gobert, 7.7K. I think he gets whatever he wants against the Lakers. That is the SO play of the day. 5-game slate, not too much news, but we're still waiting on Bogdanovich, Gallo, little stuff like that. So the Up to Lock show, as always, make sure you check it out. Not exactly sure who's on it. I assume Holden, JSU, BigT maybe, something like that. But head over on Peer Sports. Make sure you check that out. They'll be breaking down everything. Hit the like button. Hit that big red subscribe button while you're at it. Head over to Run Peer Sports if you're interested. Check it out. Get in the Discord. That's going to do it for us, though. We appreciate you guys hanging out. Good luck tonight for Hoop, DC, Simon Behind the Sticks. I'm Titletown. Good luck, everybody.